They are. I mean, we had a training session on Tuesday, and it's very clear that a lot of the boys are looking forward to it. The opportunity for a lot of them they've not had before, so the vast majority of them certainly looking forward to it. As part of that preparation, we're got a game this evening, so it's very important that we keep our focus this evening and then build on that, and then after tonight's game, kind of get our focus more solely on next week. But certainly the atmosphere and the spirits is definitely all there, and then all the boys are looking very much forward to next week.
Also, just sort of for the purpose of outsiders who might be not quite so familiar with the setup here at Imbercourt, perhaps you could walk me through how all the different levels fit together to create this progression to what seems to be really, once again, a remarkable Youth Cup season. And I know, for example, this all evolves as early as your junior section.
Yeah, so the junior section starts from sort of under sixes, under sevens, obviously in small-sided games that work all the way up to the under 16 boys, obviously operating in various levels of the Surrey Youth League, with the pinnacle obviously hoping to be that they progress through to the under 18 team to play in the Ryman Youth League under myself and Donovan. And then obviously to progress that hopefully through to what we operate as a reserve side, but really loosely under a sort of a banner of an under 21 type side, with then the prospect of hopefully reaching the first team.
Now, there's quite a, should we say, football hotbed around here in terms of non-league football. You only have to look at Woking, Kingstonian, Sutton, Hampton, for example, and yet consistently it's the Metropolitan Police that seem to produce these successful youth sides. What do you think makes your approach different? Perhaps in terms of how you deal with the parents, perhaps in terms of how you deal with the eventual players. I think there's obviously something quite unique that's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, because there are some big clubs on our doorstep, some really established non-league clubs, and as we found in the off-season, it's often difficult to attract some of the very best players out there, because we're competing with a lot of these established non-league clubs. In terms of what we offer and what makes us different, I think a lot of credit needs to go to Stuart Searle, who effectively set the template for the youth team at Met Police, and obviously Paul's been involved with it a lot longer than I have, but we effectively running with that, obviously putting our own stamp on things, but that basic template was set by Stuart, and in terms of how we do things in the youth team, we try to be as professional as possible. We try to give the boys as good a grounding as possible, so that that prepares them for senior football. And Paul and Penders are integral in that, because the next step for them from the youth team is into the reserve team, and it's just a really good environment for the boys to progress into. The youth team together with the reserve team, I think, creates a really good environment for the boys where they're free to express themselves, when I say free to express themselves, it's not an environment where you come and just have a laugh and a joke. Our standards are high, and we expect those standards to be played out on the pitch, but I think everyone looks forward to coming to training, everyone looks forward to matches, everyone looks forward to coming to the club, and if I had to put my finger on one thing, I would say it's probably that. It's the environment that's created that makes people want to stay here and progress.
Now, just coming back to the actual nitty-gritty, if you like, of running the team, when you're dealing with a group of 16 to 18-year-old players, what are really the key issues, both on and off the pitch, which you feel you need to address?
I think obviously at that stage of their lives and development, there are outside influences that can certainly take their focus away from football. I think what we try and create here is an environment where it brings it back to football. I think the enthusiasm that Donovan and myself and Penders, as we've spoken about, tries to create that environment, and hopefully they reflect well on that, and that they embrace the enthusiasm that we offer, which makes them want to come week in, week out and apply themselves properly, maintaining the standards obviously that Donovan's spoken about. And at the end of the day, we're here to get results, and by getting results you're going to enjoy your football more. We are up against the challenge of competing with what you would call traditionally bigger clubs, But I think we offer something here that's quite unique, that there is a pathway through to senior football. And hopefully, we can carry on building that. It's not just about these one-off games, Portsmouth away, and obviously last season's experiences, but it's big. It's a bigger picture than that. It's about a full season rather than a week build-up. But certainly, we feel we can offer something moving forwards as well.
Now, just coming back to something that Don's already touched on, at the end of last season, of course, there was a change of personnel at the top, with Stuart moving on to take care of the ladies' teams at Chelsea. How did you consider managing the transition? Is it more of the same? Did you feel there are things that you particularly wanted to build on? It's almost like a kind of a post-Ferguson era, if you like, but it'd be interesting to see what you think you managed to move on with the team this season.
Certainly will be buzzing off of that comparison with Ferguson, I can assure you of that. And I certainly don't want to be David Moyes, that's for sure. But no, I think, to be honest, I think it's more of a continuation. Obviously, any coach is any manager is going to bring his own stamp to things. But like I said, the template's already there. We felt from last year that having two different teams and two leagues created it was more of an emphasis on quantity at times rather than quality, and that was one of the things we wanted to address. So we've just gone with one team, the Ryman team this year, and that's allowed us to pour all our energies into one group of players. So I think that's been an obvious change. I think we probably this year we've probably trained more as a group, and that's probably down to the fact that there is only one team there, so we get more training sessions in. But with those changes, there's also come a lot of challenges too. We've had to basically rebuild the team in the summer. We've only retained 3 players from last season, so it's a very, very new group of players. I think there's 17, 18 new players that we've recruited, and it's trying to get them to blend and play together, which we're still grappling with on a weekly basis. But I think the general curve is upwards, so it's promising so far.
One final question, which I think probably applies to every side in the same position as the Met at the moment, and that is, of course, the whole question of training, developing and evolving highly skilled young players, and then potentially struggling to retain them once bigger clubs get involved. Now, I know that the chairman of the club has actually gone on the record on the club website stating that it's a disappointing state of affairs. From a trainer's point of view, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think it can obviously come with its frustrations. Obviously, we're trying to develop individuals within a team environment to, first of all, kick on in our youth team, then to the reserve side, and hopefully then to fulfil a place in the first team. That obviously will serve the club well, but we're also aware of the fact that that's not necessarily going to be the height of a player's ambition, and that is a frustration. But ultimately, if we can play a part in a player developing and moving higher in the game, then that's also quite gratifying in itself. We've had obviously 2 or 3 now that have moved on to bigger clubs. And yes, it's not been to the benefit maybe of our club, but it is obviously a feather in our cap that we can offer that type of development. And we'd like to think that we had a part in that, even if it's not a full part. We'd certainly like to think we did play a significant piece in the jigsaw.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
So, Alec, next week, huge game for the club. Away at a very iconic stadium, Portsmouth, a side with loads of cup history going back 70 years, and you guys are playing there. How does it feel?
It feels amazing because after what the youth team did last year, it's an honour to be able to get this far and be able to replicate that, because we were told that this year we'd have a target on our back, and being able to replicate that and to move on and to have our chance to showcase our ability is going to be a great experience, and doing it at Fratton Park of all places as well is going to be a great experience for all of us.
And just looking at the actual experience and the actual feeling of playing for the youth side, I suppose when you're experiencing this level of success, everyone's got to be really up for it.
Yeah, the whole squad everyone's they're backing each other, they're working hard, because at the end of the day, there's 11 places, but it's healthy competition here, because we've just got such good squad morale, and we all understand that we're all here to win games and to progress and to move on to the next stage into better stages. So it's great competition here, and I think, it's healthy for us.
Right, now of course sitting next to you we've got a man who's been there already, as it were. Luke Robertson, of course, was a leading figure in the cup run all the way to Molineux last season. Here we are, it's almost exactly a year since that amazing night at Yeovil, for example. Just remind us of how it actually felt to be carried along on this quite unique path to basically 4 games from the final.
Well, it was unbelievable, to be honest, because I remember the night here when we played Dulwich, and you're thinking one of the best non-league teams about, and we didn't really expect, although we believe we could have, we didn't believe to get past that round, let alone go to Yeovil, beat them, go to Burnley, beat them, and then obviously ended up at Wolves, which didn't go our way, but it was nice to play there and nice to have the opportunity to represent this club at Molineux.
Just looking back to last season, what do you think made you guys so different? Actually, what was it really that pushed you that far in the tournament?
I think we were a talented side. We had a lot of ability, but I think what took us all that way was just our belief. I mean, you go to Burnley, you go 1-0 down, and you're thinking, well, are we really going to get back into this game? And you just got to keep believing. If you go 1 down, 2 down, it don't matter. You just got to keep going and have faith in your own players and yourself that you're gonna do well and win the game.
And of course, this season, a move up the ladder, as it were, now involved actively with the first team squad. How have you found the change?
Oh, it's a lot different. I mean, you're fighting for 3 points every week. You don't get them. It's so different to youth football. Men's football is just that step up, and you just got to keep going. Really, keep trying to develop as a player and keep trying to improve in a very different environment than you're used to.
Alec, Luke, thanks both very much for your time, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers.
Oh, thank you.